Given some of the things that took place yesterday, I'm kind of glad we had a week off.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. Want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks to everybody for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Also, an apology. I had some folks at the house last night. I wanted to go live after the Auburn game, even if Jimmy couldn't join me. I didn't know if he could or couldn't, but because that was going to be fun. But I couldn't do it, and so here we are now. So I'm kind of glad that we needed some time. Oh, my God. Did you just snort up your whole –
No, I have the sniffles today, big time.
SAE flashbacks for me. Anyway,
I don't have the sinuses for that sort of activity.
All right.
I wasn't built that way. Lots
of stuff happened yesterday. For a weekend that didn't look like it was going to be a lot of fun, it turned out to be a lot of fun and a lot of controversy. And it probably was more controversial because the Auburn-Oklahoma game probably was the best game of the day. It was up there if it wasn't the best one. And it had so much controversy. I think we start there and look, before somebody says, hey, you're Locked On Bama, we played both these teams. So I watched with an eagle eye on this mother. Let me start off by saying this. I know that Zach Blackerby, who hosts Locked On Auburn, who is technically our boss, which we're fine with, super guy. You and I like him a lot. There's some folks in our comments who aren't as fond, which I get.
Well, it's the rivalry.
It's the rivalry. Let me give him some props. Because today I listened to Locked On Auburn because I enjoy Schadenfreude just like everybody else. I wanted to see the Auburn hear the Auburn team.
You hate listen like some people hate listen to our.
I hate listened. Oh, I hate listened so good. It was like the hate listening version of Rugiette. It was awesome. So he has Daryl Dapprich on, and Daryl Dapprich, who I also like. I mean, I think he's a good dude. He is sort of a Montgomery radio legend, like you're an Alabama internet legend. But Daryl Dapprich said something that I just found interesting. He said, look, Auburn could have done this, Auburn could have done that. But in the end, if you're an Oklahoma fan who knows ball, you go to bed last night knowing that win is tainted. And Zach pushed back. I was so proud of Zach because what Zach said was, yeah, you know what? That's the thing people say when their team is the one that gets hosed. When we've been the beneficiary of the hosing, and Auburn has been on several occasions. I can think of an Ole Miss game. I can think of an Arkansas game. I can think of
1989 Alabama Auburn.
Well, I mean, I can't go back that far. I mean, I was at that game. I don't even watch that game anymore. But
I saw like a replay kind of a thing of it, and it reminded me of a bad call that helped sway the outcome. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, but my point is, Zach was like, the thing is, it's egregious and it's awful and it's a taint on society when it's your team. When it's not your team, you're like, suck it up, Buttercup. And I'm with Zach 100%. Now, I'll also say this: there have been times Tennessee. The last couple of times in Tennessee, specifically the time they beat us on the long field goal, the late pass interference call, which was a non-pass interference, that makes me sick. It does. And it still makes me sick. It'll make me sick forever. At the same time, I know we've been the beneficiary of non-holding calls and clock mismanagement screw up or something time and time again. It comes with the territory. And I can go through these list by list. The fumble that was not a fumble. Here's my thing on that. It was, first of all, it's early in the game. So yes, while it was a 7-point swing, or 10-point swing, since Oklahoma kicked a field goal, if you want to go that route, it was so early that it shouldn't make that big of a difference. Auburn had plenty of opportunities. Secondly, that's my whole point about hating replay. Once you slow that down to this frame by frame by frame, you can make that thing be whatever you want it to be. I could certainly make the case that the SEC office, by the way, has come out and said it was the right call. And I can see, like, when they slowed it down a little more, I was like, yeah, I see where the ball's still moving. But I can also see, if I were an Auburn fan, I'd go, that looks secure to me. So my point is, and then somebody said, well, that's inconclusive, so you shouldn't overturn it. True, but what you want to do is, it's human nature. When you slow it down like that, you feel like you almost have to find something wrong, and you're looking for an excuse to change it. And again, I probably think it is the right call upon reflection, but I understand why people were mad about it. And there goes my point again. Let's just get rid of replay because it sucks.
Well, I don't want to get rid of replay because we'd have too many. Replay has prevented some injustice, and I'm all for preventing as much injustice as possible because there's too much injustice. There's too many bad calls. And, you know, I was probably upset more about it than most, not because I didn't really care who won that game. I just care how it affects Alabama. Alabama plays both of those teams. They're both undefeated. I just watch it because I enjoy watching college football. But what got to me, or what got me upset, was the repeated terrible calls where, you know, and it seemed one-sided, but Auburn also benefited from a call or two. They did benefit from a call or two, but it did seem really one-sided in terms of the incompetence of the officiating, which side it landed on. There were repeated pass interference non-calls where Oklahoma DBs were clearly there early. And I'm not talking about Jimmy believes that. I mean, the commentator, Matt Austin, believed that multiple times in the game. And my concern is, I mean, Auburn was on the short end of this stick. Yes. And I don't care. But this is what I do care about. It's coming for us too.
Yeah.
When the officiating is this incompetent, that level of incompetence, it's coming for Alabama too. We don't have a margin for error. We've already lost to Florida State. We can't afford to lose a game because of bad calls, and it's coming because the officiating is that bad. So that's what gets me upset, is the league hasn't done enough to rectify repeated terrible officiating. And one point about the big controversial play that I think everyone's missing so far, that maybe I'm the only one that sees this way. I know everybody's mad at the officials because they let Oklahoma get away with the cheating play. How come no one's mad at Oklahoma? I mean, this is a call from their sideline to break the rules.
They practiced it.
They practiced breaking the rules, hoping that SEC officiating incompetence would allow them to get away with it, which it did. And they were probably smart to bet that the officials would be incompetent and not get it. But they practice it and call it from the sidelines, and it's blatant cheating, no different than the old days of paying players to gain an advantage. They broke the rules to gain advantage. And I don't understand, if that happened in the NFL, the team would be fined or worse. You can't do that in the NFL. Why does the SEC office allow it? Why isn't there some sort of punishment mechanism for intentional breaking of the rules?
Let me push back from another angle here. Mm-hmm. To me, yes, I do think it is blatant misuse of the spirit of the game, or going against the spirit of the game, going against the actual rules. But I don't think it's much different than a defensive back coach telling defensive backs, if he gets by you, tug on his shirt and try to do it in such a way that it can't be seen.
Yep.
And that is also cheating. That is also taught. And I'm with you. Yep. I understand. But I'm saying, if it's sort of like in basketball, you know, if you can, I remember a guy would say, I used to touch people's elbows right as they were shooting, but it looked like I wasn't hitting them. Yep. And it always threw them off, but it didn't look like a foul. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that seems kind of screwy. And he's like, well, they don't call it. It's not a foul, right? And so if they don't call it, it's not cheating. And as a friend of mine used to say, if you ain't cheating, you're cheating yourself. I'm not sure I subscribe to that theory, but I kind of do. But my point is, the SEC office came out and said what they said. I've seen some Auburn people say, well, can we just get that game forfeited? Hell no. No.
No.
Colorado got a 5th down. I mean, did they win the game any less? I mean, Auburn, you turned around. Bro Nix threw the pass literally backwards, and nothing happened. And they reviewed it and can't do anything about it. Sometimes you're the winner, sometimes you're the loser. This time, Auburn, you were the loser. It sucks. I know it sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. I'm also not saying anti-Auburn people aren't laughing, because they kind of are. But we will get our turn. We have had our turn, and we will get it. And when it happens to us, it'll suck. And you will hate watch. So, I mean, we'll keep talking about this because there's more to talk about and more SEC to talk about. But I want to tell you about the game cap. You know, I love me a game cap. I wish I had a cap that could fit me, honestly. But Jimmy's got a cap. I sent him the cap. I wish he had it. Do you have it? If you got it, look at that beautiful bean footage. So look, quick question for all you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit in the front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Jimmy'd be wearing that hat he just showed you. For me, it'd be the game if it fit my head. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles that fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then when you use code LOCKEDON, all one word, code LOCKEDON. And you will get that vintage hat for $16.99, baby. Head to thegamecaps.com, thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code LOCKEDON for an exclusive discount, because legends like Jimmy wear the game. All right, so going back to this game for a second, look, if you are an Auburn fan and you are watching just to get mad at the things we say, let me say this. Let me say, Cam Coleman was the best player on the field yesterday. I mean, I guess you could make the case for one of the Oklahoma defensive linemen if you wanted to, that because those two dudes were David Stone, who Alabama was dying to get. How much would we love having that guy? He was a menace.
I'm not so sure the Dallas Cowboys wouldn't want to have that guy.
Yeah, he's good. Okay. Cam Coleman, I do believe this, was the best player on the field, and I'm including John Mateer. So I will say that, and then at the same time, I'll say that's on y'all that he had 3 catches. Yeah. That's on Auburn. Now, your quarterback overthrew him probably twice for a touchdown.
Jackson Arnold missed him a couple times.
Underthrew him, what probably should have been a touchdown. Cam just made a beautiful adjustment on the ball. And then you just kind of quit throwing it to him. Now, there was one time when, you did a throwback pass for some reason to him when you didn't need to. And you can say, well, the pass interference, Auburn ended up scoring on that drive anyway. They didn't get the call, but they scored on that drive anyway, so don't worry about that one. But he was unstoppable that game, and Oklahoma continued to use a true freshman on him, which is both on – therefore it's on Auburn and Oklahoma. They were outdumbing each other, and it just so happened Oklahoma ended up being the beneficiary. If you have the best play – how many times did we say back when Derrick Henry first got going, before his 2015 year, can we just keep handing it to Derrick Henry? Why are we doing anything else? And because he's the best player on the field. Cam Coleman was the best player on the field. And if you only give him 3 receptions, it's on you. By the way, all 3 of them were in the first half. That's stupid.
Yeah, he's a great player. I think Auburn has I'm sure all the Auburn fans hate listening would be able to tell me this, but I think Auburn's on a long streak of not producing a first-round pick at wide receiver, and Cam Coleman's he's gonna end that streak. That is a first-round pick if I ever seen one. Great player. I think it's a fair question about will Jackson Arnold be able to take full advantage of Cam Coleman's talents. Also thought Malcolm Simmons was very good. That's just and Singleton I think is a little banged up, or that's just a really good wide receiver core. Auburn was impressive at times in ways. But for as much as I'm upset about the officiating and Oklahoma's actions, including running 10 rub routes, also, which are really pick plays, they
ran them poorly. They were so obvious.
They got caught a couple of times. Other times they didn't, but they repeatedly did it. Again, I'm upset at Oklahoma and the way that they're deceiving, breaking the rules, pick plays. And where, by the way, the SEC office, where was our explanation for what happened to us in that stadium last year when the Ryan Williams thing? Where was that explanation as to the Ryan Williams call that took a touchdown and sort of extinguished Alabama's hopes of coming back in the game? Where was our explanation for that egregious miss? That's very frustrating. But Auburn's going to be extremely difficult for Alabama or anyone else to beat in Jordan-Hare. This is the best Auburn team I think I've seen in 3 or 4 years. It's not vintage Auburn, it's not playoff Auburn, but this is a good Auburn team, and they're going to be very difficult to beat. Oklahoma is going to be very difficult to beat in Tuscaloosa because you got to somehow block that front, which may be as good as anybody's got in college football. And of course, Mateer's a weapon. I didn't think Mateer looked like a Heisman Trophy winner in that game. Credit Auburn, but Mateer did not look like a Heisman winner at all to me in that game.
I had some people say on national radio, like Mateer had his Heisman moment with that drive. I'm like, what? Not really. I mean, there were a bunch of wide open dudes he found. I mean, Auburn defense had sort of they were out of gas. I'm not going to lie. I laughed and laughed when the safety made Oklahoma cover. I just found that to be beautiful. Now, I mean, the bookies may hate it because it landed on 7, or it was mostly 6.5, 7. So if you had it 7, you probably brought the hook either way. So the bookies probably got screwed more than anybody. But I just thought it was kind of hilarious. And again, I'm not going to pretend like I pull for Auburn for any reason, but I am going to admit 2 things, Auburn fans. Cam Coleman was the best player on the field. And secondly, you got Oklahoma blatantly cheated. They got away with it. But if that's the case, then they just got away with it because it happens. And so
Auburn also played in a way that they earned their loss. They gave up 10 seconds. You can't get sacked 10 times and think you lost because of officiating. I mean, I agree the officiating was terrible, appeared one-sided. The whole SEC office had to come out and say, yeah, that was terrible. So it was. But you can't go on the road, give up 10 sacks, score 10 points, and expect to and say, boy, we won that game if not for the officials. No.
They scored 17, right?
Yeah, 17. Auburn didn't play well enough to win the game.
All right. Couple other things very quickly about the SEC. Florida, my God. I mean, Florida, it's over for Florida and for Sam Pittman, by the way. They both lost in ways that, like, you just can't come back from this. I mean, Florida had the ball down 13-7. They needed, 3 or 4 yards. The guy runs whatever that is minus half a yard route and just doesn't get the first down. And then Miami goes on to win 26-7 or whatever. So it looks worse. Florida's defense is as good as anybody's, and they get no help. Lagway is a complete disappointment. I'm sorry if I offend a Florida fan, but he just is. And the offense just isn't clicking. Meanwhile, I don't know that I've ever felt as bad as I do for a coach as I do for Sam Pittman. That man he must have found that totem that they found in the cave in Brady Bunch, where it's just bad stuff just was thrust upon them from that point forward.
That happened in Hawaii.
Back in Hawaii. And because the man was driving to beat Ole Miss last week. They fumble on an effort play. The man, all they have to do is kneel it, really, and here you go. But they're trying to get a touchdown, which I understand Memphis had timeouts. And the guy on an effort play, it's punched out. Oh my God. I mean, and then this is on Arkansas. The Memphis's quarterback carries a 6'5", 345-pound man 5 extra yards to get the first down and end the game. Arkansas is done, but I'll say this. Mark my words. Arkansas gives Notre Dame fits next week.
Agreed. I think it's going to be a real entertaining game. I'm really looking forward to the 11 a.m. Arkansas hosting Notre Dame. I think it's going to be a lot of points. I think this is a great stage. I'm glad if Arkansas is making a coaching change, they're not doing it now. I like giving Sam Pittman this Notre Dame opportunity to sort of erase what the two disappointing losses the last 2 weeks. Yeah, I feel bad for Sam too, but ultimately he's just not getting the job done. Ultimately, he's not. I can see that sort of being almost an agreed resignation with buyout deal eventually coming there, because I think Sam's so well liked. But boy, gosh, just terrible way to lose. But at the same time, they are fumbling the ball. I mean, it's not like the Auburn thing where the league's having to send apology letters for taking points or for giving points to the other team that shouldn't have been there. They are fumbling those balls, and that's how you lose football games. But Memphis is pretty good. Memphis could end up being the Group of 5 team in the playoff.
And you had a 28-10 lead.
Yeah, they
against
blew a
Memphis
28-10 lead.
I mean,
and the defense is the issue there. They can score points, and Petrino and Taylor and Green, they can score points, but gosh, their defense is bad.
I mean, this is going to end the way we all knew it would, right? That Pittman gets fired midseason and Petrino takes over. I mean, that's happening, right?
I would assume it would happen, but I don't think Petrino is going to be the long-term head coach there. I think Petrino might be an interim. I don't know who will be their head coach, but there'll be some interesting names involved, and it's an SEC job, so it's a big job. SEC jobs are big because it's the best conference in college football, and it pays well. Arkansas has great facilities, access to Texas high school football players. You can win to some degree at Arkansas, and it's a good job. I think there'll be a lot of big names associated with it, but yeah, I could see Petrino finishing out the season, perhaps. I hope not. I don't like midseason firings. I don't mind telling the coach privately, hey, we're going to be making a change when the season's over. I don't know that it does your players a service to have that level of disruption for many of them in the last year of football they ever get to play in their lives.
Unless you do it early enough where they can take their red shirt.
Correct. You could do that. So,
Now, really quickly, we got to say, Vandy put up 70 points. I know it was Georgia State, just like Alabama played ULM and put up 73. I'm just saying, like, Jimmy, our schedule looks tougher. And Ahmad Hardy, oh, my God. That guy is a beast.
I'm not so sure that we don't need to start comparing him to somebody like Ashton Genty. And I've watched a lot
100%.
He's a first-round talent to me. Boy, he's a dude. He's leading the SEC in rushing by like over 200 yards.
Well, I just looked it up. He's averaging a 150 a game. The next player is Jeremiah Cobb, which I found kind of interesting because he didn't do much yesterday, but he loaded up he feasted on some bad teams the weeks prior, and he's averaging under 100 yards a game.
Yeah, I think Cobb's like right about under 400 yards total.
Yeah, 375.
Like 600.
It's insane. I mean, that guy is. I mean,
Missouri's a good football team.
Alabama's got to go to Georgia in what will be a raucous environment. They want to beat us so badly. They're licking their chops. They got a good opportunity to do it. Then we come home and play a Vandy team that's one of the best Vandy teams of our lifetime. Then we go on the road and play a Missouri team that's undoubtedly going to be undefeated, coming off a bye week with the best running back in the league. Then we come home and play a Tennessee team that also is just putting up points at will. By the way, next time somebody says, why don't y'all ever play UAB? Because we don't want some UAB player to kick our kicker in the shins. Do you see that UAB guy do that to the Tennessee guy?
Yeah. Didn't he get ejected? He got ejected, right?
Yeah, he should have. But I mean, what a terrible, what a jerk move. I mean, what kind of jackass does that?
Yeah, I don't think Trent Dilfer's going to I mean, I think this will be it for Dilfer. I mean, it has nothing to do with that particular, although it is a reflect. When the players act like that on the field, It is a reflection of the coaching staff.
And it is especially if you don't take pretty serious action. So, I mean, like if they do it and then the coach is like, well, he's under a lot of duress and, he's got a test this week or something, just, hey, man, no, you got to suspend it.
Reflection on the coaching staff. It's a reflection on them. So you represent the program when you're out there.
100% on that. All right. Another thing that's 100% is FanDuel. NFL is here today, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if you bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to the Sunday. And you want to add energy to your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Oh, now, new sponsor alert. It's Square. Love me some Square. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home. Whether it's a local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together, like this podcast. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. You know this. I know this. We all know this. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. Hey, man, I'll see you in the neighborhood. All right, so let's talk about Alabama during this off week. Jimmy, I thought it was interesting that BOL came out with like their early predictions for Bama, Georgia on Saturday.
I think it's their bold prediction.
Their bold prediction, but I was like,
the score prediction
a week in advance. Wow, okay.
Yeah, off week, looking for content, and I didn't think, I read them over. I thought it was interesting. I mean, Watts, my buddy Watts, he says more than season high in sacks. Well, that'd be more than 4 sacks. That Georgia's offensive line is somewhere that Alabama can take advantage. I mean, I do think that that's an issue with them. They're not terrible by any means, but it's not a great Georgia offensive line. I think Alabama can win some matchups there. But boy, more than 4 sacks would surprise me. I noticed that both Charlie Potter, Blake Byler thought Ty Simpson would continue to have a good day. I agree. I mean, I think Ty is going to be really good. Is he going to be phenomenal? I don't know. That's a tough ask against all those good athletes that Georgia has. But I do envision Ty Simpson having a good day. I would put an over-under on his passing yards, Luke, at a pretty shockingly high number. I would say I would set the over-under myself in terms of, like, I'm not sure I'd go over somewhere around 320. I mean, I think and part of that is going to be because I think the game's going to be close and Alabama's going to be very aggressive trying to score in the second half. So I think there'll be a lot of pass attempts, but I would put his passing yardage over-under number around 320. And, and in terms of a bold prediction from me, if I was contributing to that, I would say whichever team rushes for the most yards, whichever team has the most yards rushing will win the game. And maybe that's ominous for Alabama based on the Alabama team we've seen so far, but maybe Jam Miller makes a big difference.
It's going to, we all know how tough this game is going to be. And the problem I keep having is like, okay, if we lose, not the end of the world. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, but if we lose, we're 2-2. And like, there's no more margin for error. Yeah, I guess you could make a case we could lose one more game if it's the right game and we have the right wins and we can still make the playoffs 100%, especially given how bad some of these other conferences look. The Big 12 is atrocious. I am wearing an Arizona State shirt for my son who goes to Arizona State, and they did win. They beat that mighty Baylor team that everybody seemed to love.
Barely.
Well, they beat them on the road, and Arizona State, by the way, lost to Mississippi State. So, I mean, that's got to say something.
Big 12's terrible, except for maybe Texas. Texas Tech might be really good. They certainly were.
Yeah, they did it with a
very impressive
quarterback.
They were very impressively won on the road at Utah. Indiana also. Shout out to them. Heck of a win. But then I was an Indiana doubter. They silenced me.
Yeah. No. I mean, like, I'm not apologizing yet because maybe Illinois sucks, but I'm still not happy with Indiana, but I want to need a little bit more.
They play a legit schedule this year, though. If they get to the playoff this year, they're going to be earning it. They got to play Oregon. I think even at Oregon. I mean, they got.
And I think they go to Penn State. But legit's a big word considering their 3 non-cons. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and let's also say that Wisconsin's not doing us any favors. They probably
Jimmy need to make a change up there. They probably need to make a change.
Well, they have to.
And I don't, and it's shocking because I really thought that was a great hire and Luke Fickell is a really good coach, but that's a mess. And And for all the saying it diminished our win, of course it did, because this is all analytics related and who beats who. So of course it diminished Alabama's win. But I'll say this:
Maryland's good.
Well, Wisconsin's probably didn't play as well in that Maryland game as they played at Alabama. Although I'm not giving them a lot of credit, Alabama really, kicked their butts pretty good. You got to remember, half of their points came on a special teams play. Alabama significantly outperformed Wisconsin in that game. It's not like it was close, but boy, Wisconsin just didn't answer the bell. And we'll see. Maybe Maryland's good. I have my doubts that they're that good, but we'll see.
One other apology I want to throw out there. I said during the all season, I was screaming it from the mountaintops. I mean, I wasn't trying to be, insulting, but I just said, I think losing Justice Haynes isn't that big of a deal. I think Alabama's going to be okay. Dude is balling. He's a first team All-American right now. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. He is balling, and I'm here for it. I'm happy. I'm not mad at Justice Haynes. Yeah, I wish he was on our team, but dude is playing his tail off. Congratulations to you, Justice. I mean, just super performance. Every time I turn around, he's going for 75 yards. He's a dude.
He went to the right program for him and the right system. But before people make too big a deal of it, I would just like to point this out. To me, what's happening with Justice is very similar to what happened with Aiden Holloway in basketball. When Aiden Holloway was at Auburn and he was looked at as a 5-star kind of disappointment.
Yeah.
He just wasn't a good fit with what Auburn was doing. And he came to Alabama and showed to be a really good player once he was in a system that better fit him. I think that's what's going on with Justice Haynes. He's in the right program for him, the right offense for him. I think he was very frustrated by Alabama's run game plan a year ago. And I get why he was frustrated. But
sure,
I would also say that I would not be shocked had Justice stayed and Jam Miller had gone to Michigan and stayed completely healthy. I wouldn't be shocked if Jam Miller was doing something similar at Michigan. I just think it's a great system for a downhill back that's good between the tackles and can bounce outside. Michigan's just a good running back based offense that Alabama's not going to have while DeBoer and Grubb are here throwing the ball around the yard.
And it's something we got to live with. So I wanted to, there was one other, Clemson, Jimmy. I mean, look, this might be a, Bear Bryant, late 60s, early 70s kind of thing where he's in a transition. And, again, I wasn't alive in those times. But I remember my parents have told me, people wanted to fire Bear back then. I mean, so this has been around forever. And there's some people that want to can Dabo, and there's some Alabama fans saying, thank God we didn't hire this loser. Dabo's still pretty awesome. I mean, he's in a rut. We've all been in ruts. He is in a rut. And Syracuse, that was no fluke. They beat the crap out of them.
Clemson is one of the biggest disappointments of the season. I thought Clemson would be very good. Dabo's making me look bad in addition to himself because I thought Clemson would be really good. It is terrible, but I'm also a little bit like Luke here. I'm uncomfortable with a large amount of criticism when you're talking about a first ballot college football Hall of Fame coach, because Dabo is going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame because of the job he's done in Clemson. So I get a little uncomfortable with, he sucks, or he woke up and forgot how to coach, or I do think that he hasn't adjusted to this new landscape, and that's on him a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's a College Football Hall of Fame coach. And he has done a lot of great things for Clemson. And I think Clemson needs to, I'm not saying just accept the losing, but, when the temperature gets turned up really hot over there, I'm like, hey, the odds that the guy they're going to hire next also ends up in the College Football Hall of Fame are very, very small. And they will remember that and their eagerness to get rid. Everybody thinks they're going to fire their coach and hire Nick Saban. Everybody believes this. And I don't mean literally. I mean, they think that they're going to hire a Saban the next thing around. Most of the time, what you end up with is like your 5th or 6th choice. That's often what happens.
Here's my hope that Clemson message boards go off and somehow Peter Woods and TJ Parker are like, you know what? We need to prove more. Let's just transfer to Alabama next year.
It's fine with me. It's fine with me.
I would. Somebody else is like, you and Jimmy were singing their praises. I'm like, I'll take Peter Woods and TJ Parker right now. If they said, if you could transfer in the week, I would take them this minute.
But the odds are, by the way, yeah, those two are so bad, they are going to get in the transfer portal, and they're going to land in places like Kansas City and Detroit and Jacksonville and the New York Jets. I mean, that's where they're going to transfer to.
Yeah, they're going to transfer to mansions. All right. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.